Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to Garden and Allotment Tips. It's Friday. The weekend is upon us and it's now time to be thinking about creating those lists of jobs which need doing on the allotment before the end of the month, because February will fetch us a whole load more different jobs that need doing, plus seeds to be planted. So it's good to get the jobs ticked off what need to be done in January. And if you didn't listen to that episode, I'm going to go over some of the stuff what does need doing in January, so hopefully you can get them all done this weekend and crack on with them and get them all sorted really. So if you've got a paper and pen, you may want to make a note of some of these so that you know to get them all done. So a lot of it is getting the fruit trees ready for the year ahead. If you've not done all your pruning, you need to make sure the apple trees are pruned, the pear trees are pruned. Don't prune anything that's got a stone inside it, like a plum tree, nectarine, because you do that later on in the year when it gets warmer. You don't want to be doing it now while it's cold. Well, it's not that cold at the moment, but you don't want to be doing it round now. You need to be doing it round summertime when you prune them ones. So make sure you've pruned your apple trees and your pear trees and got them all in shape. Got rid of any branches what may be crossing over one another and rubbing on each other so that the airflow can get round and get circulated round them. And the same goes for all your fruit bushes as well. If you've not done your pruning of your fruit bushes, like your gooseberries, your currants, your blackberries, your raspberries, if you've not done all them pruning, make sure you get them all done, get them all tidied and get them mulched ready for the year ahead, because getting it out of the way now will save you having to do it later on, because you'll get so busy and so worked up getting all the seeds sown for the year ahead that you won't have chance to do all these jobs. So it's a perfect time, and if the weather's decent, get it done while the weather's decent, because we felt so lucky this winter with not having snow, really bad snow at all. So it's given us a chance to get these gardens in real good standing, ready for that year ahead. And again, I've been talking about strawberries a lot. If you've not sorted your strawberries out, please do get them sorted now, because they will start growing again soon. You need to cut off all the old leaves, separate any runners what may be growing on them, replant them, and I tend to add some bone meal or some chicken pellets to the soil to give them the food that they need for the year ahead. And if you put in that effort of looking after them, they will give you great produce back. And trust me, I have hundreds of strawberries and I know what I'm talking about with strawberry plants. That is the one thing that I do have great success in, and I do blow my own trumpet when I get some great rewards from my strawberry plants. I'm always sharing pictures of those whenever they're ready. If you've not sorted your rhubarb out, again, I tend to sprinkle some chicken pellet manure around the crowns, not on the crowns, because it could burn the crowns and you don't want to do that. And the same goes for manure. If you want to put some manure around it, put it around it, but do not put it on the crown, because you could risk burning the crown and losing your rhubarb, and you don't want to do that because it's expensive to buy from the shops, rhubarb. So if you can grow as much rhubarb as possible, that is what I do. Right, now for the flower garden. If you are growing pansies, any ones that have flowers that are dying on them, just keep deheading them and it will encourage them to keep on growing through the winter, because pansies are something that add extra colour to that garden at this time of year. If you keep deheading them, then it'll encourage new growth and you will get some beautiful flowers all the way through, and it'll keep your garden looking nice and colourful, and if you leave them to go to seed, they just go scraggly and messy, and you really don't want to do that. So roses, if you've not pruned your roses yet, this can still be done this month while the rose bush is dormant. Trim back any canes on it what may have died, what look diseased, or any that are crossing one another. Again, it's the same with fruit trees. You need the air to get through the bushes, so just give them a nice tidy up, give them a prune, and if you've got any spare bits left off the roses, why not try rooting them like I have done this year. Pop them into some soil, in some rooting agent, and you may get some new rose plants growing in your garden. You can always give them away as well if you don't want them, so it's worth experimenting. Just try taking some cuttings from your roses, stick them in a bit of rooting agent, and then stick them in some soil, put them somewhere nice and warm so that they start to take root, and see what happens. You could be onto a winner, and you could be providing the whole allotments with your rose plants or neighbours in the gardens, because it's certainly good experimenting. I absolutely love experimenting and trying new things down at my allotment. I've certainly got quite a lot of rose cuttings taken at the moment, and I need to get all them potted up to see if we can get some new rose plants growing from them. The only thing is, I never labelled them up which roses they were, and I'm sure I've put some of my climbing roses in with them as well, but we'll soon know if they do start to go into a climbing rose. I can dig them up and I can move them to where they can be climbed. So yeah, no hardship really. So if you're wanting to be sowing peas, if you're wanting a nice early crop of peas and you want to start sowing them, always put some plastic on the ground first to warm it up. It'll warm the soil up before you sow it. Leave it on for a few days and then sow the peas outside in the ground. But you can always start them off in pots if you want to, and then once they've started growing, then you can plant them outside, so then they're nice and evenly spaced. The choice is up to yours, but obviously remember to protect them, because pigeons will love to eat the pea shoots as soon as they start popping through, because there's not much around for them to be eating at the moment, so they will really go for the pea shoots. So keep an eye on them, and hopefully you get some decent peas growing. Parsnips, you should still be digging them up by now. Again, they taste a lot nicer once the ground's been frozen, because it adds the flavour to the parsnip. So wait until we've had some frosts, which we've had a few already, so they should be ready to harvest now. So if you've not been harvesting them, you should be very good at harvesting them now. So yeah, that is some jobs what you can be doing this weekend. Make sure you get them all done, get them down on a list and get them ticked off. Soon in one of our later episodes we will be talking about all the jobs for February and what seeds to be planting in February. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Click that subscribe button on this podcast and then you'll get notified as new podcasts come up. We're trying to do them again on a daily basis. It's just work and everything gets in the way. But yeah, hopefully we're getting them daily at the moment. So I hope you are enjoying these podcasts. If you've not left a review of the podcast on the channel that you're listening to it on, Apple Podcasts you can leave a written review, and Spotify you can leave a star rating, 5-star rating, and it all helps people see my podcast as well if you leave reviews on there. So please do take 2 minutes out of your time to do that for me. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.